Imagine, for almost a millennium, trying to guide your people to the worship of one God. And for all that time, almost everyone just refuses. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a story of absolute, unbelievable patience. We're exploring the story of Prophet Nooh, alayhi salam, and a massive deluge that quite literally reshaped the face of the earth.
950. We usually measure our lives in decades, right? Maybe a century if we're incredibly lucky. But the Quran tells us in Surah Al-Ankabut that Prophet Nooh, alayhi salam, remained among his people for 950 years. He spent this excruciatingly long time patiently calling his people to Allah. I mean, just imagine the sheer endurance that takes, day in, day out, facing constant rejection, yet absolutely never giving up on his divine mission.
A world turning away. The rise of idolatry. So, generations after Adam, alayhi salam, the pure worship of Allah began to fade. And, it didn't just happen overnight. It was a gradual slipping away as people lost that connection to the truth. Surah Nooh actually tells us exactly how this misguidance took root, and it mentions 5 specific names: Wad, Suwa, Yahuth, Yahuk, and Nasr. Now, these were originally righteous men who had passed away, but out of a misguided sense of love and respect, people started venerating them. Over generations, this completely warped. They built images, and eventually, those images became idols. People just forgot the creator entirely and started worshiping the creation.
But this brings us to a really monumental turning point. Allah, out of his infinite mercy, didn't just abandon humanity in the dark. He sent the very first messenger to correct idol worship. Nooh, alayhi salam. He was sent as a beacon of light piercing straight through that darkness, calling humanity back to the worship of one God before it was completely too late. 950 years of patience, calling to Allah. Now keep in mind, this wasn't just him passively waiting around. This was an active, grueling reality. For centuries, Nooh preached tirelessly, day and night. He had private conversations, he addressed them in huge public gatherings, standing as steadfast as a mountain. But how did the people actually respond? Well, Surah Hud captures the sheer arrogance of that time perfectly. The wealthy elite essentially sneered at him, saying, "Should we believe you while you're followed by the lowest class of people?" They literally rejected the truth just because of the socioeconomic status of his followers. Their wealth and power had completely blinded them to the spiritual realities standing right in front of them.
Building the Ark. Obedience amidst mockery. So after centuries, literally centuries of rejection, a divine decree comes down. Allah reveals to Nooh, alayhi salam, that no more of his people are going to believe. The time for warnings was officially over. And the command he received was monumental: construct a massive ship on completely dry land. Of course, the wealthy elite relentlessly mocked him for this, calling him foolish for building this colossal wooden ship nowhere near an ocean. But Nooh, alayhi salam, he met their laughter with unwavering obedience. He built the ark exactly as commanded because his reliance was entirely on Allah, not on the opinions of men.
The great flood begins, the deluge. When the earth finally burst forth with water and the skies poured down absolute torrents, there was only one sanctuary left. The warnings of 950 years had suddenly materialized into a devastating reality. By divine command, Nooh, alayhi salam, brought aboard a pair of every creature, his believing family, and that small group of steadfast believers. This little group was literally the seed of a new world, preserved right in the middle of overwhelming destruction. But this story also holds a deeply, unimaginably tragic moment. As these turbulent waters were rising, one of Noah's very own sons refused to get on board. Relying entirely on worldly logic, he cried out, "I will take refuge on a mountain to protect me from the water." And despite a father's desperate, heartbreaking pleas, warning him that absolutely nothing could protect from Allah's decree that day, the son refused. He was lost to the waves. It's just an unimaginable grief for a father. It leaves us with this incredibly profound truth. Even the closest bonds cannot save without faith. Salvation relies entirely on sincere belief and obedience to Allah. It's not about bloodlines, it's not about family connections, wealth, or worldly status. Even a prophet's own son couldn't be saved without that sincere faith.
A new beginning. The water recedes. After all that devastation, a really profound calm followed. The flood had done its work. It completely purified the earth of the idolatry and arrogance that had plagued it for so long. Surah Hud describes this powerful sequence of divine commands.
Allah commanded the earth to swallow its water, the sky to withhold its rain, and the ark safely settled on Mount Judy. It just goes to show the very forces of nature are entirely subservient to the Creator. Finally, Nuh alayhi salam and the believers stepped out onto a purified earth. And because of this, Prophet Nuh alayhi salam essentially became a second father to humanity. Every single person on earth today traces their lineage back to those who were saved in that ark. The absolute patience of one man, enduring nearly a millennium of hardship, preserved the entire future of mankind. So I want to leave you with this final thought. How resilient is your faith when faced with a flood of doubt or even a lifetime of waiting? Our ultimate reliance just has to be on Allah alone. If you found this explainer provided a meaningful reminder, please do share it with others. And make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next explainer on Prophet Hud alayhi salam and the mighty nation of Ad. See you there, inshallah.